Good morning, dear students. Last class we discussed reactivity with the hydrogen. Right. The next one is the reactivity with the oxygen. Generally, these group elements generally forms EO2 and EO3 type of oxide, dioxide and trioxide. Dioxide and trioxide. For example, sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide, selenium dioxide, selenium trioxide. So these oxides are acidic in nature. What is the meaning of acidic in nature? That means these oxides when react with water, generally it forms the acids. It forms the acids. Suppose I am taking one example, sulfur dioxide, EO2 type of oxide, generally react with water. So H2SO3, H2SO3 is a sulfurous acid. It is nothing but acid. So these oxides are acidic in nature. Suppose if you take EO3 type, SO3 plus water, it forms the H2SO4 sulfuric acid. So these are acidic in nature because of when react with water it forms the acids. That's why acidic in nature. So sulfur dioxide is a reducing agent, whereas tellurium dioxide is a oxidizing agent. So what is the reducing agent? It reduces the other substance, itself undergoes oxidation. So what is the oxidizing agent? It oxidizes the other substance, itself undergoes reduction. That means known as oxidizing agent. So what you have observed from sulfur dioxide to selenium dioxide, the reducing property decreases down the group, exactly opposite to the reactivity with the hydrogen. So when you take reactivity with the hydrogen, I explained very clearly, right? So what is reducing property? Giving the hydrogen to other substance. Right, reducing property increases down the group, right? So when compared to oxygen, the reducing property decreases the down the group. So one is increases in the case of reactivity with the hydrogen, the one is decreases in the case of reactivity with the oxygen. So I explained why it is increases, the reducing property, why it is increases down the group, because of the bond length increases from sulfur to tellurium. That's why it gives the readily hydrogen. That's why it increases. I clear exactly opposite. This one is exactly opposite. The next one is reactivity with the halogens. Reactivity with the halogens. The next one is reactivity with the halogen. So far we studied reactivity with hydrogen, oxygen. The third one is reactivity with the halogens. Generally, these elements generally form EX2, EX4, EX6 type of halides. So SCl2 or OF2, SF4. I am taking one example, right? Selenium dichloride, selenium tetrafluoride, selenium hexafluoride, or sulfur dichloride, sulfur tetrafluoride, sulfur hexafluoride, sulfur tetrafluoride, sulfur hexafluoride. I am taking one example. So if you see the structures of these are, right? So SCl2, right? What is the hybridization? sp3, right? One sigma, 2 sigma, 2 lone pair. Generally it belongs to sp3. What is the shape of this one? Angular, just like a water, angular shape, right? SF4, right? So it is having the sulfur is having the 6 electrons around the sulfur. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 electrons around the sulfur. So it is 4 sigma bonds, 1 lone pair of electron, that belongs to sp3d. 4 plus 1, 5 belongs to sp3, 4 belongs to sp3d, right? So how do you calculate hybridization? Hybridization is equal to number of sigma bonds plus number of lone pairs. Number of sigma bonds plus number of lone pair. If the total is equal to 4, that is sp3. If the total is equal to 5, that is sp3d. If the total is equal to 6, that is sp3d2. You have studied in the chemical bond chapter. right? I'm not going to detail. So how many sigma bonds in this one? 4 sigma bonds, 1 lone pair. 4 sigma, 1 lone pair, total is equal to 5. The hybridization is sp3d, right? So in this one, what is the geometry? What is the geometry? Seesaw geometry. Seesaw geometry or distorted trigonal bipyramidal, right? So SF6, right? So how many sigma bonds? 6 sigma bonds, no lone pairs. 6 total is equal to 6. That becomes sp3d octahedral geometry. So it forms dichloride, dihalide, tetrahalide, hexahalide, right? Dihalide is having the angular structure, tetrahalide is having the seesaw structure, hexahalide is having the octahedral structure, right? So stability, if you come to stability of halide, fluorides are more stable than chlorides are more stable than bromides are more stable than iodides. Suppose for example, if you take SF4 and SCl4, one is belongs to fluorine, the other one belongs to chlorine. So in which one SF4 is more stable or SCl4 is more stable? That means SF4 is the more stable one, right? Along dihalide, tetrahalide, hexahalide, along with that one, there is a formation of monohalides also possible in this 16th group elements. So monohalides generally in the dimeric state. That means SF is a monohalide. So S2F2 is a dimer similar to S2Cl2, S2Br2. These are dimeric in nature, right? So this is related to reactivity towards halogens. The next one is the dioxygen preparation method. Dioxygen, or you can simply call it as oxygen. Potassium chlorate, you have studied in the chemical kinetics chapter. So MnO2, in which case you have studied the role of catalyst, So 2 KCl plus 3 O2, liberation of the oxygen. MnO2 act as a catalyst. Manganese dioxide, MnO2, manganese dioxide, potassium chlorate. Right. So the second one, this is the first one. The second one, decomposition of oxides. Decomposition of oxide. So what is the meaning of decomposition? Right? Composition, opposite word decomposition, right? One compound divided into 2 compounds is known as decomposition, right? So Ag2O, decomposition, thermal decomposition, right? So which decomposition? This one, thermal decomposition. You have to heat it the oxide that belongs to 4 silver plus oxygen. 4 silver plus oxygen. Just one compound divided into 2 components. If 2 components combining into 1 component, you call it as composition. One compound divided into 2 compound, you call it as decomposition. Right. So the next one is the mercuric oxide, thermal decomposition. Thermal decomposition means you have to heat it the compound. If you heat the compound, that will becomes to 2 compounds, 2 or more than 2 components. Hg plus oxygen. The next one, 2PbO2. It forms the 2PbO plus oxygen. In all the cases, the liberated gas is the oxygen. Pb3O4. Right, it is a mixed oxide. We'll discuss in the next class, next topic, right? Pb3O4 that decomposes into 6 PbO. So how many lead? Here is a 6, right? 6 PbO, right? How many oxygens left over? 2 oxygens left over. So oxygen. So in all the cases, a thermal decomposition of oxygen takes place. In all the cases, the liberated gas is the oxygen. The liberated gas is the oxygen. The next one is the large scale preparation of oxygen. Next one, large scale preparation of oxygen. Large scale preparation. Right. So electrolysis of water. There are two methods, right? So the first one is the electrolysis. You have studied in the electrochemistry chapter. What is electrolysis? Electrolysis of water. Right. So passing the electricity into the water. Electrolysis. Right. So it liberates the hydrogen at cathode, oxygen at anode. Hydrogen liberated at cathode, oxygen liberated at anode. The second large scale preparation is from the air. So first what they do, generally removal of gases takes place, removal of carbon dioxide and water vapor. First from the air we have to remove the carbon dioxide and water. Then what you have to do? Then liquefied the remaining gases. Liquefied the remaining gases. Right. So once these gases are liquefied, what you have to do? Then you have to do the fractional distillation. So you have studied in the P1 chemistry different types of distillation methods. Fractional distillation that gives the nitrogen and oxygen. Based on their density, you can easily separate nitrogen and oxygen. There are two large scale preparation methods. One is from the electrolysis of water. If you do the electrolysis of water, you will get the hydrogen at cathode, oxygen at anode. What is the second one? Air contains generally 21% of oxygen, right? So the rim you have studied, air contains 21% of oxygen. So if you take air, first step what they will do, generally they remove the carbon dioxide and moisture. Then once you remove that moisture, the remaining gases will be liquefied. That means all the gases will converted into cool that gas mixture, very low temperature, all the gas will be liquefied. It becomes liquid. So when you do the fractional distillation, you will get the nitrogen and oxygen. Based on their densities, you can easily separate the nitrogen and oxygen. So what are the preparation method? One is from potassium chlorate, right? The second one is the thermal decomposition of oxides. That means silver oxide, mercuric oxide, lead oxides. The third one is the large scale preparation from the electrolysis and from the air. These are the four preparation methods. Next one is the properties. Oxygen is soluble in water, is a colorless, odorless gas. Due to solubility in water, it is very useful for aquatic animals, right? So due to, as a oxygen percentage increases, water taste will be increases, right? You generally, if you observe in the oxy-rich bottle, oxy-rich oxygen. So what is the label on that oxy-rich bottle? It is more oxygenated water, more oxygenated. If you drink oxy-rich water, that water taste will be somewhat different, right? So as the oxygen percentage increases, more oxygen, right? So the water taste will be changes. Generally, what is the nature of oxygen? Oxygen soluble in water. That's why aquatic animals, fishes, right? So many aquatic animals survive in the water due to oxygen soluble in water. That is the main reason for this one. So why hot water is tasteless? You cannot drink more than more than 2 glasses hot water. What is the reason for that one? Right? So if you heat the water, the dissolved oxygen is the dissolved oxygen in the water evolved from the water. That's why the water will be less oxygenated. That's why the water taste will be less. Right? If you heat water, what happens? Due to dissolved water will be evaporated. Once the oxygen is evaporated, the water will be less oxygen content. If the water will be less oxygen content, the taste will be less. Right. So oxygen generally exists in the 3 isotopes, that is 16, O16, O17, O18. So what is the meaning of isotopes? Same atomic number but different atomic mass. Generally you call it as isotope. So oxygen exists in 3 isotopes. Oxygen generally shows the paramagnetic nature based on MOT theory. Based on MOT, you have studied in the P1 chemistry, molecular orbital theory. The homework is why oxygen is paramagnetic. You have to draw the BMO, ABMO, sigma star, pi star orbital. From that one, how the oxygen is having the paramagnetic. This one is the homework, right? So why oxygen is paramagnetic, right? Based on the MOT. You have studied in the P1 chemistry, right? So BMO bonding molecular orbitals, ABMO anti-bonding molecular orbitals, sigma star, pi star. Based on that one, oxygen is a paramagnetic, whereas nitrogen is a diamagnetic. What is the bond order? Oxygen bond order is a 2, nitrogen bond order is a 3. So due to bond order 2, oxygen and oxygen, how many bonds in between the oxygen? 2 bonds. Bond order is 2, right? So in between 2 oxygen, there are 2 bonds in between 2 oxygens, right? These are the properties. Next one is the chemical properties. Oxygen reacts with almost of all metals and non-metals. Reacts with metals and non-metals, right? Except EU platinum, aurum platinum, right? Gold, platinum, and noble gases. And noble gases. And noble gases. Generally, it react with the, right. So if you take carbon, right, calcium plus oxygen, generally it forms the calcium oxide. Right. Calcium plus oxygen gives the calcium oxide, right? Aluminium react with oxygen, generally it forms the Al2O3. So 3 never, odd number never balance the equation, so you have to multiply with 2, you have to multiply with 3, right? So it becomes 4, Al2O3, right? Carbon plus oxygen, it forms the carbon dioxide. Carbon plus oxygen forms the carbon dioxide. We have studied in the combustion reaction, right? Methane plus oxygen, generally it forms the carbon dioxide and water, right? So hydrocarbons generally react with water, generally it forms the carbon dioxide and water, right? So CO2 plus H2O, 2H2O, 2H2O here, 2O2, 2 oxygens, 4 oxygens, 4 hydrogens, 1 carbon, right? So what is the combustion? 1 mole of any compound react with oxygen completely to form carbon dioxide and water is known as combustion, right? Combustion. Then phosphorus, right? Phosphorus react with water, P4, 5O2, generally it forms the P4O10, or you can write it as a P2O5, phosphorus pentoxide, right? So you have sulfur dioxide plus oxygen. You will going to study this reaction in the preparation of sulfuric acid. So it forms the SO3. Vanadium pentoxide is the catalyst, right? So 2 SO2 plus oxygen, 2 SO3, right? 2 HCl plus oxygen, it forms the chlorine preparation, right? So in the presence of cupric chloride, CuCl2, it forms the Cl2 plus H2O, Cl2 plus 2Cl2 plus H2O, right? So it cannot balance. So 4 HCl, this becomes 2Cl2, 2H2O, right? 2H2. Cupric chloride, right? CuCl, cuprous chloride, CuCl2, cupric chloride, right? So metals, calcium oxide, aluminum oxide, carbon dioxide, phosphorus pentoxide, sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide, HCl, it becomes chlorine, right? Chlorine, oxygen, right? So this one is the combustion reaction, right? So the next one is the zinc sulfide. Zinc sulfide react with water, generally it forms the zinc oxide plus sulfur dioxide, zinc oxide plus sulfur dioxide. How many oxygens? 6 oxygens, that's why this one becomes 3O2, right? 3O2, right? 6 oxygen, 2 plus 4, 6, 2 sulfurs, 2 zinc. So zinc sulfide is converted into zinc oxide. So oxygen reacts with almost of all metals and non-metals except gold, platinum and noble gases, right? These are the oxides, right? So this one oxide, right? This one is oxide, this one also oxide, except it forms the chlorine, right? Next one, uses. So oxygen generally utilizes in the respiration process, our breathing process, right? So oxygen generally it combines with hemoglobin, it forms the oxyhemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin goes into the different parts of our body and it liberates the oxygen, again hemoglobin, right? So generally what is the reaction? Hemoglobin is combining with oxygen. So what is the beauty of reaction? It is a reversible reaction, right? So it forms the oxyhemoglobin. Once it forms the oxyhemoglobin, this one is the oxyhemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin goes into the different parts of the body and it liberated as it decomposes into hemoglobin plus oxygen. So this hemoglobin again takes the carbon dioxide from the different parts of the body and it forms the carboxyhemoglobin and it goes into the lungs and we exhale the carbon dioxide. So in the respiration process, oxyhemoglobin, carboxyhemoglobin, so it is oxygen mainly used in the respiration process, in the hospitals and mountaineering, right? So if the oxygen is not discovered, right? So if the patient is having the breathing problem, so it is if you don't preserve in the oxygen as a cylinder, right, it is very difficult to it is difficult for the patient, right? So discovery of oxygen is a great achievement in the science history, right? Discovery of oxygen and its separation of the oxygen from the other gases. It is very great discovery, because I can say it is very due to discovery of oxygen, many lives are survived. Many lives are survived due to discovery of oxygen, right? Mountaineering, as you go from the mountaineering, oxygen levels will be decreases, right? That's why they wear the oxygen cylinders, right? When they go to the mountaineering, oxygen levels will be decreases. That's why they wear the oxygen cylinders, right? Oxyacetylene welding, right? So you have studied in the acetylene chapter, welding process. You have to burn with that one acetylene with oxygen. Welding process, oxygen is very important. Here oxygen is very, in the metallurgy process, so many metal extractions, the oxygen is very important in that metallurgical process. These are the important, so many importance, but they have given 4. You have to at least remember 2 to 3 importance. That will be more than enough. Next one is the types of oxygen.